All right, welcome back to Morning Live. An author from Kitchener joins us now with his new coming-of-age novel about a queer teenage music prodigy. The book is called In the Key of Dale, and we welcome author Benjamin Lefebvre joining us here this morning. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us. This is your first novel, from what I understand.
Yes, it is.
You've been in the literary world for a while. How does it feel when somebody, as you see the name Benjamin Lefebvre on the front of a book, an author now?
Well, it's funny because I've been working within academia for quite a while, and I've done a lot of publishing within that world. But my ambition to write a novel kind of stems back to far earlier than even my undergraduate career. So it's certainly really gratifying to see my name appearing as the author of a book at long last.
Yeah, congratulations on that, first of all. Now let's talk about the book In the Key of Dale. Maybe give us a kind of an overview as to what the book is about.
Yeah, so In the Key of Dale is about a music prodigy, a teenager who starts writing letters to his late father. There's an inciting incident with his mother, and he realizes that he doesn't really have anybody to turn to, so he decides to write it out. And the most logical or authentic audience he can think of is his father. And in the process of writing to his father over the months that follow, he unexpectedly kind of redevelops a new relationship with his father, even though his father's been dead for many years.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept for a book, because not only are you writing in the form of a 16-year-old teenager, I mean, which you have to get into your head because you have to think like a 16-year-old. Never mind write like us, because it's in the first person.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that was tricky because even though I like to think that I remember very well what it was like to be a teenager, as you can tell from the color of my beard, adolescence is, fairly far away. But I have to tell you, one of the things that I had to really think about is the use of technology in the way that teenagers operate now. When I was a teenager, I know I sound like an old coot when I say this, but when I was a teenager, we didn't have email.
Yes.
Let alone social media or texting. And that's how teenagers communicate now. So I really had to think, carefully, not just use my own memories about what it was like to be a teenager, but really think about what it would be like to be a teenager now.
Exactly, how difficult it is to be a teenager now with all those new influences from when we were a lot younger. Now, interestingly about this book, now it's not just a coming out book as far as his sexuality is concerned, because it seemed to me, I read the book and I must admit, I really enjoyed the book very much. I found myself leisurely reading it, instead of like a lot of books you read because there's a big crisis at the end that you have to solve and blah, blah, blah. This was a leisurely stroll through his life on almost a daily basis in these letters to his dead father.
Yeah. I was interested in thinking about a coming out story that's not really about coming out.
Yes,
Dale is pretty much already out, to himself anyway. And he doesn't really feel the need anymore to make a big production of it. And that's also something that has changed. Dale happens to have queer uncles. He's friends with a lesbian couple at his church. And so the idea of making this big announcement just doesn't seem to fit for him anymore.
Yeah, he seemed like, as you say, he was very comfortable with himself. It's the other part of his world that he's not comfortable in, like being in high school and being a complete loner and not speaking to anybody.
Yeah, no, that certainly was something that I could relate to, but I think is also something that I wanted to kind of shake things up in terms of audience expectations about what a coming of age novel is, or what it should be, or what a coming out story looks like.
Quickly, because we only got 30 seconds left, what inspired you to write a novel like this?
Part of it was the long-term effects, I think, of the loss of my own father. My father died when I was 31, and under very different circumstances. And although I wasn't all that interested in writing autobiographically about me or him or our relationship, I was thinking about the long-term effects of grief and how that might impact a teenager long after the event itself in ways that he wasn't really expecting.
Well, I found it a wonderful read, and is available. The book is out. It's available now, and it's called In the Key of Dale by author Benjamin Lefebvre. Benjamin, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thanks very much for having me.
We'll be back.